UCLA finishes up their 2010 campaign with a whimper. The Bruins go down to their hated rivals and let the tumultuous offseason begin. Hey everybody, what's Bruin? I'm Jonathan Khamis with the Orange County Register, being joined by our UCLA beat writer Scott Reed, and not a good end for UCLA. Scott, they lose to USC 28-14. Your thoughts on the game?
I think it was like a woeful 60-minute summation of their season.
Yeah.
Turnovers, missed opportunities, missed assignments on defense. It was just kind of their season in a nutshell.
And you would think this would be the game for UCLA to beat USC after all the things that USC has gone through, the sanctions, the loss of scholarships. They still weren't able to do it.
No, it's the same old story. They just couldn't get over the hump. They had their chances. You know, there was a big turnover when Jonathan Franklin fumbled and Malcolm Smith returned it for a touchdown. They just couldn't make the play when they had to.
And after the game, Rick Neuheisel, like he always does, addresses the crowd, and there were a lot of boos, and that's putting it politely.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much everybody in the stadium, whether they're wearing red or blue, powder blue, we're booing. And I mean, the UCLA people are really upset right now. They're really unhappy. And, you know, Neuheisel's has to take a lot of the blame, not just for the performance on the field, but he raised expectations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the football monopoly was over, right?
Right. It's been 3 years of trying to raise the expectations, and he has, and they haven't met him.
Well, they finished the year 4-8, losing 6 out of their last 7. I mentioned the tumultuous offseason. First of all, Rick Neuheisel, is his job safe?
His job safe. Dan Guerrero has said repeatedly that it's, you know, there's no decision there, that Neuheisel's his guy, and he's back for next year.
Offensive coordinator Norm Chow.
I think he probably stays. I think it's ridiculous that we're sitting here talking about, you know, whether Chow's back. I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer that Chow's back. And
why?
Because he's probably the best offensive mind of his generation in college football. You just look at his record, and they came in. They put in a new offense with an offensive line that's not very good. Their starting quarterback was hurt pretty much the entire season. Then it was lost for the season, and then they had to make do with a kid who right now in Richard Brejo I don't think is a Pac-10 quarterback.
Interesting. Was the pistol too much too soon for these guys? Do we have to give it another year, or are they going to ditch it completely?
Well, that's the big question. That's one of the big questions. One of many big questions. But you know, Chris Alt, the Nevada coach, was on the radio last week in Los Angeles saying that was one of their big concerns when they put it in, is not overloading the team that first year. And I think Neuheisel is going, and if Chow stays, that's one of the things they'll look at. Did they try to do too much too soon? Yeah.
And switching gears to the defense, Chow Bullough, where is he going?
I can't find anybody who thinks he's going to be back. He may be the fall guy for this thing. In his defense, they had to play a lot of young players, especially in the front seven, and a lot of those young players towards the end of the year, you know, showed a lot of promise, including Jordan Zumwalt out of Huntington Beach.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's gone.
Okay, you mentioned Zumwalt, and I think he's a reason for optimism next year. Give me some reasons for optimism. I know UCLA is down right now, but what are some things we can look forward to next year?
Well, that defensive front seven is definitely a reason for optimism. They have three really promising young linebackers in Westgate, Zumwalt, like I said. I think Zumwalt will be one of the better linebackers in the Pac-10 before he's done. There's a kid, Patrick Larimore, who had a big year until he got hurt in the Oregon game. If Raheem Moore comes back, which I kind of doubt, but if he did, he and Tony Dye are probably two of the best safeties in the country, this pair of safeties. They'll have a 1,000-yard running back in Jonathan Franklin, who I think is going to be one of the best running backs in not only the Pac-10 but in the country, if he can hold on the ball. And at wideout, Nelson Rosario is going to be a lot better because he'll be healthy. And Taylor Embry, who's a good possession receiver, came on strong at the end of the year, and that will be a big plus. There's a guy by the name of Randall Carroll, a kid who we saw in spurts this year, who's got big-time speed, and I think he'll be more of a factor.
I think we already talked about all the pessimism, but yeah, you can go into detail. Who might UCLA be losing and such?
Well, they're going to lose Akeem Ayers and maybe Raheem Moore. And Ayers is a big loss. The offensive line, to me, is a huge question mark still. They lose, I think, 4 starters. They have Jeff Baca back next year. He'll be eligible next year. He could help. But I still see a lot of holes on offensive line. And the quarterback situation, you know, we don't know if Prince will ever play again, if he'll be ready to play next year.
Wow, is it that bad with Prince?
We don't know. I mean, it's you know, you can't get a definitive answer right now. And Brejo, I'm just not convinced that he's going to be the guy. And then you're looking at, is the Hunley kid out of Chandler, Arizona, the freshman, true freshman, going to have to step in and play right away. So those are some, and you know, we still have some. There's still some issues at cornerback too. So there's plenty of question marks.
Plenty of question marks. Should be fun next year for UCLA. But let's recap the following year and let's give out our grades. Right now I'm holding an A and a B card, and I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of that one. Sorry, almost hit our multimedia camera guy over here, Lennon. But we're going to go ahead and grade the offense. First of all, I'll go ahead and give the offense a D this year. I was not happy with the pistol offense. I didn't like what I saw out of it. Early on, it seemed like they were rushing all over the place, getting a lot of, getting the job done on the ground. But as the season wore on, teams caught on, their running game suffered, and that passing game never really got off. What about your grade?
Yeah, I got a D too. And you're right, the running game was successful early, then teams figured it out, and they just put 8 guys in the box and said, throw on us, and UCLA never really could.
Yeah, it was a simple but effective strategy against the Bruins. Defensively, D for defense. I agree with you. I think the writing's on the wall for Mr. Chuck Bullough, and was not an impressive year defensively. But I do think that there's a lot of potential for these guys. I like Zumwalt, the potential he has, a very young defense, and I expect them to improve next year.
I think D for dismal is. They lost a winnable game at Kansas State because of the defense. They lost a winnable game against Washington. They got better as the year went on, but there's just too many similar mistakes that were being made in the 12th game that were made in the first game, and I just didn't see enough improvement. Okay, special teams now. I'm going to have to give special teams a C. I didn't like how that whole Josh Smith punting situation went, and I know Kai Forbath is a heck of a player, but he missed a couple field goals. I still think he's going to have a good future, but that's my grade. Sticking to it. You? I've got a B. Jeff Locke, in my opinion, is the best punter in the country.
Yeah.
Josh Smith was a huge disappointment, not only with the whole mess with the punting situation, but he never became the big-time kick returner that we thought he was going to be and that he should have been.
And finally, coaching. I guess I'm going to go ahead and be nice and give the coaching staff a D. Rick Neuheisel finished his second year 4-8. Next year, you got to show me something. This is probably going to be his last year next year. You give a head coach 4 years. You see what he can do. I wasn't impressed this year, and I expect Chuck Bullough to be gone, and who knows, maybe Norm Chow as well.
Yeah, I'm giving them a D as well. There was, there's some improvement in some areas, but there were just too many repeated mistakes. He had everybody's hopes up so high with his preseason spin, and never really came close. And you can blame injuries, you can blame the new inexperience, you can blame the new offense, but at the end of the day, you got to show that you're getting better through the year, and I just didn't see it.
Yeah, not enough improvement for me as well. Well, we want to thank Scott Reed. He's been great all year, giving us great UCLA insight. We thank you, Scott. And that's the final edition of What's Bruin. Thank you for watching all season. But check out UCLA basketball. Scott's going to be all over that. And for more UCLA information, check out ucla.ocregister.com. Thanks for watching.